Hello, and welcome back to the Cataclysm DDA Achievement Run. I want to start this off by apologizing. I lost my footage of about one in-game day since the end of the last episode due to the file becoming corrupted. Fortunately, I didn't do anything particularly significant during that day, as I spent it recovering from the injuries I earned during my adventures in the first episode, and doing some crafting and combat practice. When I slept and woke up for the first time, I did earn the achievement the first day of the rest of their unlives. We pick back up on the night of day 2 with me driving around to kill some time, and along the way I pick up a pair of brass knuckles from a pile of drug dealer corpses. I'll take this opportunity to explain why. See, the achievements for getting every skill to 10 are going to be some of the biggest time consumers in this challenge. Crafting skills just take time and materials, ranged combat skills can be practiced on harmless targets or on real enemies at safe distances, but to train offensive melee skills to the heights we need them, you need to attempt to melee attack creatures with higher and higher ability to dodge, since slow targets with no sense of self-preservation will stop being a challenge for you, and your fighting skills will plateau. The one defensive melee skill, dodging, in turn needs to be trained against monsters with higher and higher melee abilities, because you need something that's actually challenging to avoid getting hit by to help you learn anything. Practicing melee skills requires putting yourself right up next to things that want to either hurt you or run away from you. And as you might expect, the monsters with the highest dodge and melee skills are usually not the ones you want to spend a lot of time near. The second problem is that each of our skills needs to be raised independently. For example, if I'm fighting a monster with a sword, the experience I earn from each attack is being split between my melee, cutting, and bashing skills, so all of them are going up pretty slowly. On this particular version of the game, the practice recipes for training bashing, cutting, and piercing weapons hadn't been fixed to cap you at level 4, and can theoretically train you infinitely in these three skills with enough time and resources. That essentially takes three entire skills out of the picture, so I can disable the game funneling experience into them during normal gameplay. For offensive skills, that only leaves melee and unarmed, which I can't cheese using practice crafts, meaning that when I use melee, I should primarily be practicing my fisticuffs whenever possible. Hence the brass knuckles, but I'm keeping the trench knife as my backup for dangerous situations. Anyway, the military base is the ultimate goal, and I need to clear it out before everything inside starts mutating and getting even more dangerous. To do that, I need a lot of ammo. Best place to get that is to blow up a turret, one of which is right inside the entrance to the science lab I found early on the first morning. I have an ID card to open the front door, but doing that will despawn the turret, so in my case, it actually benefits me to break in. So my goal is in a acetylene torch to cut straight through the metal doors, and to that end I scout out the top of a radio tower and spy a hazardous waste sarcophagus on the edge of my vision range. These can have advanced technology inside, but they're also filled with radiation. Fortunately, I find a dead scientist literally outside with a hazmat suit, but my progress is hard countered by a wooden door that I still don't have a tool to pry open. Deciding to come back to the main building later, I can still climb through an open window into the side office to grab a military ID card and hack into the computer to read some emails sent shortly before the end of the world. While mindlessly pressing buttons, I hit the command to seal the sarcophagus, which turns out to be shorthand for detonate a bunch of explosives in a different room, followed by loud crashes that are probably sections of the structure itself collapsing. Maybe I won't be able to get into the sarcophagus later after all. The second interesting discovery I made from the radio tower is a junkyard to the north, so I drive my way up there, finding an advanced Rivtech combat knife along the way. Rivtech weapons are generally semi-futuristic and the best in their respective class, and the RM-42 fighting knife does have the ability to block like the trench knife and rapid strike like the combat knife, with damage output falling in the middle of the two. But its poor accuracy makes me switch back to the trench knife fairly quickly. Maybe once I'm at higher piercing skill I can give it another try, but right now I can't afford to be missing that many hits. After clearing out the junkyard's few inhabitants, I find the main prizes in the garage, a foldable hand jack and a welding cart. The hand jack allows me to jack up vehicles and parts to perform maintenance on them, and can be folded for easy storage inside the vehicle. The welding cart is a draggable cart with a welder and soldering iron on it for vehicle and item repairs, and runs off a small storage battery but isn't foldable. With enough mechanic skill, I can remove the welding rig from the cart and jack it directly into my own vehicle, run it off the truck's own battery, and essentially perform all the vehicle work I want from the safety of the inside of my own mobile base. The cherry on top is that there's a Humvee parked outside the junkyard ready for me to trick out and drive, except that all its tires are slashed. I'll need replacement 32-inch armored wheels to get the thing moving, but that shouldn't be a problem when I break into the military base. Good timing too, as I'm just about reaching the limits of the amount of stuff I can pack into the tow truck. For now, I make a note to come back here, hit up an evac shelter to mark the nearest refugee center on my map for a future achievement and NPC interaction when I'm ready for it, and drive west to a mansion I spotted. Mansions are a great early game location to check, as for the most part they start out with only normal zombies, and can contain basic supplies like food and clothing in great abundance while tending to be far away from cities. I'm not here for the basics though, I'm here for the unique gear that can only be found at mansions and museums, medieval weapons and armor. Chopping my way through the front yard, the first area for medieval gear is on the statues directly inside, and I'm lucky enough to find a full suit of chainmail, albeit one that's too big for me. The pike is unfortunately a cheap knockoff. Another statue upstairs has a triple whammy of a crusader's great helm, a suit of ornamental plate armor, and a real morning star. This room next door with glass cases can also have real weapons, but no such luck this time. After painstakingly squeezing my new stuff into the truck, I do a sweep of the mansion to grab incidentals like painkillers and antiseptic while clearing out zombies as I see them. Along the way, I earn the Sentinel achievement for my 100th kill. The basketball court inside has a statue with another fake spear, a barboot helm, and a set of more practical, non-ornamental plate mail. In the other corner is a weeb's dream with a full set of samurai armor, a sword scabbard, and a wooden training katana. This not quite genuine training katana is a poor weapon, but is actually useful to me since I need a wooden sword to practice my cutting weapon skill up to 3, at which point I'll need to find a real medieval sword to raise it further. I take the bokken and scabbard and call this mansion a wrap. With that done, it's time to continue searching for an acetylene torch. Mechanics' garages are the most likely places, so I find one near the edge of a town, park as close as I can, stab a couple of zombies, and walk in like I own the place. The garage is extremely well stocked, and not only do I find the torch, but also several extra tanks of welding gas, a multi-tool, and a tire iron that I need to swap out the wheels on that Humvee. I replace my trusty police duty belt with a more spacious tool belt, and drive back to the science lab to finesse some ammunition. And now, here's how you set yourself up with enough 5.56 ammo to kill an army using welding tools and a hand grenade. Science lab not included, military bunkers work also. Step 1. Mark a practice target and throw scrap metal or individual bullets or any item that stacks that you have a lot of, and practice throwing them until you reach level 1 throwing skill. This is the bare minimum you need to usually not kill yourself when using grenades. Practice throwing some grenades with the pins still in just to confirm that you can get them on target. Step 2. Stand diagonally, not in front of, one of the metal doors and use the acetylene torch to reduce it to scrap metal. Step 3. Follow this exact sequence of actions in this exact order. Wield a grenade in your hand. Activate the grenade to pull the pin. Use Shift X in the direction of the doorway to peek. Press T to blind throw the grenade around the corner at the target. Watch as it lands far closer than you're comfortable with, but hopefully not right at your feet. Run. Peek back around the corner to confirm that the turret is dead. Acquire your prize, 4 gun belts of ammo totaling up to 1,600 rounds, assuming the turret didn't shoot at anything before you killed it. The laboratory will have its own prizes for us, but the military base comes first. Parking out front, my initial goal is to lure in and take out as many zombies in melee as possible. I can't smash the corpses, and I know I'm going to be hanging around this area for a while, so every dead zombie necessitates me taking about 40 seconds to chop off all its extremities so that it doesn't get back up. Even though I'm not firing off guns, I get a steady trickle of zombies from the front of the base, taking each down with my trench knife in turn. These scorched zombies are new to me, though. I wonder what these things do. They explode, loudly, into smoke when they die. That's what they do. Armed with this new knowledge, I began using guns rather than my knife, which started drawing in zombies from further away. While I was still on the road outside the military base, I noticed some mounds of earth being churned up in the field to the south. Normally this means there's a giant worm burrowing around and trying to attack the source of any sound it can hear, and not a problem as long as you stay on the asphalt. That's when I got shot by a ranged attack of some kind and failed the Homo sapiens and pure blood conducts by acquiring my first mutation of the run. Yeah, it turns out there's a dimensional portal just a short distance to the south, and that worm is actually a yug, a creature I've never seen before in all my years playing this game. And yugs apparently shoot mutagenic darts as a ranged attack. I wandered too close to the southern edge of the road and got shot by another one, causing me to gain the strong mutation for an additional 1 point of strength, meaning more carry capacity, melee damage, and hit points. Thanks, Mr. Yug. If this keeps up, getting pin-cushioned on purpose by the Yug wouldn't be too bad as a budget mutation method, but all it would take is one negative roll to ruin my character, so I decide not to push my luck and just stay away from it. With the front yard cleared out, I push up through the mass of abandoned vehicles in the base's driveway and parking lot, up to the barbed wire fence and take some pot shots at the zombies inside. This winds up with me leading a large swarm of zombies down the driveway, past the tow truck, and out into a field, popping off enough shots every few meters to thin out the crowd. While finishing off the last of the crowd, a fight breaks out between a Migo and a Graken from a nearby body site, and while trying to shoot the Migo, I instead end up murdering the peaceful Graken instead, and in doing so earn the Silence Your Nightmares achievement for killing my first nether creature. Firing off a gun so close to the fiery hell portal unfortunately attracts the attention of a flying polyp that just appeared, which is by far the most dangerous thing that's seen me this run. These things hit hard and are more than twice as fast as a standard player, so the fact that it's rapidly flying toward me while I also need to fight off the last few zombies is quite concerning. I ended up needing to shoot it 4 times with my rifle when it had already been injured by the fire around the portal, mind you, and the last 2 shots were fired while a regular zombie was actively chewing on my arm, to give you a sense of where the priority of threat is in this situation. Aside from the polyp incident, the rest of the military base follows essentially the same pattern of push up a little farther, shoot the first zombies that see me, attract a bigger crowd, and shoot everything while backing up into already cleared areas to make space if necessary. Outside of a few Kevlar and acid-spitting soldier zombies, the vast majority of what was inside were normal zombies and zombie soldiers that had no way of countering my possession of a firearm, along with some zombie burners that just necessitated me shooting them from farther away in case their fuel tanks explode. About 500 dead zombies later, the base was clear and I could start exploring the interiors of the various buildings. Right at the front there are several barracks. I checked one out, but from what I can tell it's mostly clothing, books, and domestic clutter, so I decided to ignore that for now. The mess hall just has food, obviously. There's what looks like to be an administrative or office building that didn't seem to contain anything special. Outside the office is a good condition Humvee, but due to the massive number of wrecked vehicles in the driveway, I have no efficient way to drive the thing out of here. The medical building had some always useful bandages and such, and there's a garage containing all kinds of useful welding and vehicle parts, and going through the maintenance tunnels under the garage allows me to infiltrate the armory. The racks outside the cage have everything you need to get geared up as a tactical operator, including shoulder straps and scopes for firearms, knife sheaths, pistol holsters, and most importantly some light amp and infrared goggles, so I can perform night raids and see things in dark basements without them being able to see me back. I used a welding torch to bust through the secured cage doors, and took all the ammo and explosives as well as a few new guns to diversify the types of ammo that I can use. The next location is the general supply shed, and holy crap, there's a lot here. Clothing, blankets, backpacks, ammo pouches, gas masks, every type of useful tool, medkits, and more food than I would need in a year, even after discarding everything containing meat and dairy. After a few trips of dragging stuff outside, I realized that I'm never going to fit all this stuff in my already straining tow truck, so I grabbed 4 of the correct sized wheels, made the journey back up north to the junkyard, and swapped them into the Humvee. After transferring my inventory to the new ride, I took a nap, woke up on the morning of day 4, and arrived back at the military base to loot the rest. A truly disgusting amount of inventory management followed, which I'll spare you from, but if you're curious, here's a brief highlights reel of the take. A Barrett 50 cal rifle with about 550 rounds, a 7.62 HK rifle with about 600 rounds, a 300 Win Mag marksman rifle, 30 rounds, a 152mm anti-tank missile launcher with 8 shots, about a dozen single-use law rocket launchers, at least 4,000 rounds of 5.56 and about 2,500 of 9mm, a couple hundred shotgun shells of various types along with a new 9-round Mossberg to replace my previous shotgun, 15 bricks of C4, 30 frag grenades, 20 incendiary grenades, finally a proper crowbar to pry open doors, a gas mask, and so many cartridges that I'll never run out, a ton of batteries, some Kevlar body armor and a fully intact helmet, and a 50 cal Browning heavy machine gun that's way too big for me to shoot by myself, but makes a fine replacement for the wimpy 7.62 machine gun mounted on my Humvee. Speaking of vehicle replacement, I tore some seatbelts out of wrecked cars to level my mechanics skill up to 2, and progressed from there to repairing and replacing various parts in my Humvee with ones I could scavenge from around the base. At the end of that process, I have a nearly fully repaired Humvee with only a few dents on the armor that I'm not skilled enough to fix yet. All the storage spaces have been upgraded to cargo spaces for optimal storage. I jacked the welding rig from the junkyard so I could perform welding and vehicle maintenance on the go, and I'm leaving a space open to install a chemistry station later to cook up mutagen or something. At the end of the whole adventure, my marksmanship skill is at 5, and my rifles and mechanics skills are at 4 from all the combat and vehicle work I did. After I was done managing, repairing, and organizing my haul from the military base, it was the 8th day of my post-apocalyptic life, and I was ready to raid the science lab I'd discovered on day 1. And I didn't get any footage of this, but I hit up a museum and another mansion and found myself some more medieval armor pieces, a real scimitar, and a real pike. Combined with the Morning Star, I now have the weapons I need to train bashing, cutting, and piercing all up to 10. I just need to set some time aside to work on it and have a ton of scrap metal and duct tape on hand to make repairs to my training dummy. And that'll have to do it for this episode. Next time, we'll tackle the science lab and see what dangers and treasures await us down there. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to check the description to keep track of the achievements I've earned so far. See you next time.